Hello everyone, how's your day? I hope you are in good mood. So in this presentation, I'll bring you my question or also my answer regarding to the task delegation to fulfill my mid exam. So uh before I going further, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Thomas Alvando Winarto and I'm from University Wijaya. Okay, I think we'll just go to the first question. So the first question, which is talking about the chapter 18.18, talking about sales with allowance. On October 2, 2020, Laplante company sold 6,000 of its elite camping gear with a cost of 3,600 to the Lynch Outfitters. As a part of the sales agreement, LaPlante includes a provision that if Lynch is dissatisfied with the product, LaPlante will grant allowance on the sales price or agree to take the product back, although returns are rare and given the long-term relationship between LaPlante and the Lynch. And Lynch expect total allowance to Lynch to be 800. So on October 16, 220, LaPlante grants an allowance of $400 to Lynch because the colors for some of the items delivered was a bit different than what appeared in the catalog. So for the instruction, the A, we should find the journal entries for LaPlante record. Number one is the sale on October 2, 2020. Number two is the granting of allowance on October 16, 2020. And number C, any adjusting required on October 31, 2020, when LaPlante prepares financial statement and LaPlante now estimates additional allowance of 250 will be granted to Lynch in the future. And for the B, we have to indicate the income statement and balance sheet reporting by LaPlante at October 31, 2020 of the information related to the Lynch transaction. So from this, based on the discussion and based on what I understand for October 2, 2020, we have account receivable and account receivable on sales revenue both for 6,000 and cost of goods sold or known as COGS on inventory on 3,600. Meanwhile, on October 16, 2020, we have sales returns and allowance on accounts receivable both for 400. And the last one for October 31, 2020, on we have sales revenue, self returns on allowance, I'm sorry, on allowance for sales returns on allowance, both for 250. Meanwhile, to question number B, I break down the income statement into two, which is the first one is income statement and the second one is financial position statement. For the income statement, we have on sales revenue at the balance as at the cash balance for 6,000. Meanwhile, we have to less or we have to like minus it with the sales return on allowance with the amount of 650. So we got the net sales if is 5,350 minus by cost of goods sold we known as the previous slide is 3,600. So we got the gross profit is 1,750. And the financial position statement for the quarter ended October 31, 2020, we have account receivable 5,600. Meanwhile, we have to less it or we have to minus it with allowance for sales, returns, and allowance for 2015. So we got account receivable 5,350. That's all for chapter 18. We will move to the chapter 19. For the chapter 19, we have the stated example here on the assume that on December 31, 2019, Kimberly Clark Crop signs a 10-year and a non-cancelable lease agreement to lease a strong storage building from Sheffield Storage Company, and the following information pertains to this lease agreement. So the agreement requires equal rental payment of of 70 of 71 something thousand, and beginning on December 31, 2019. And for number two, for the information number two, we have the fair value of the building on December 31, 2019 is 500 525,000 something on dollars, and the building has an estimated economic life of 12 years and a guaranteed residual value of 10,000 and an expected residual value of 7,000. And Kimberly Clark depreciates similar buildings on the straight line method. And for the information number four, we have the lease is non-renewable. At the termination of the lease, the building reverts to the lessor. And for the information number five, we have the Kimberly Clark's incremental borrowing rate is 8% per year, and the lesser's implicit rate is it's not known by Kimberly Clark. So by the instruction number A, we have to prepare the journal entries on the lessee books to reflect the signing of the lease agreement and to record the payment and expenses related to this lease for the years 2015, 2000 and 2000, I'm sorry, 2019, 2020, and 2021. So the Kimberly Clark fiscal year ends in December 31. And for the B, we have to find the conclusion of the supposed the same fact as above, except that Kimberly Clark incurred legal fees resulting from the execution of the lease of 5,000 and received a lease incentive from Sheffield to enter the lease of 1,000. How would the initial measurement of the lease liability and the right of use asset be affected under this situation? But we also have the C and D. Meanwhile, the C is supposed that in addition to the 7,100 something dollars annual rental payments, and Kimberly Clark it is also required to pay 5,000 for insurance costs each year on the building directly to the lessor, Sheffield Storage. How would this executory cost affect the initial measurement of the lease, liability, and right of the use asset? Meanwhile, the D is a return to the original facts in the problem. Now, suppose that at the end of the lease term, Kimberly Clark took a good care of the asset, and Sheffield agrees that the fair value of the assets is actually $10,000. And by this, record the entry of Kimberly Clark at the end of the lease return to control the storage building to Sheffield. And to answer this one, we also have to assume that the accrual of the interest on the lease liability has already been made. So my answer regarding to this stated question is on the A. We have the minimum annual lease payment minus by guaranteed residual value. So we will get, minimum annual lease payment plus by guaranteed residual value. So we got the total of lease liability. And so on the December 12, 2019, we have the right of use asset on lease liability both for 500 to 521,000 and something dollars. And move to the number two for the December 12 2019. For transaction number two, we have the lease liability on cash is the $71,000. And to the December 12, 2020, we have amortization expense on right of use asset. We have $52,000 something. And for the December 12, 2020, we have lease liability and interest expense both for 71 we bought for $71,000 on cash, also $71. For the transaction for 2021, at the December 12, we have amortization expense on right of use asset, both for $52,000. And the last one for December 12, 2021, we have the lease liability and interest expense on cash, both number for $71,000. And for the number B, we have the lease liability minus minus by lease incentive, but plus by legal fees. So at the end, we have to the right of use asset on the answer. We have $525,000. And for this number B, we have to know that it only affects the measurement of the right of use asset. And I could say that the initial direct cost and the lease incentive only affect the measurement of the right of use asset. Meanwhile, the initial direct cost incurred by the lease increase the right of use asset, whereas a lease incentive lowers the right of use asset. So it's quite interesting to learn about the right of use asset, also the initial direct cost. And for the number C, we will move to the number C. With number C, we have to think that the 5,000 annual insurance payment should be included in the initial calculation of the lease liability, and thus the right of use asset, because they are not separate good or service transferred to the lessee. And meanwhile, they are considered part of the annual payments to the lessor and similar to the rental payments. So we have minimum annual lease payment on $520,000, um, plus by guaranteed residual value, and plus again by annual insurance payment on 36,000. So at the end, we will have lease liability for $5,558,000. And the number D for the question chapter 19 number D, we have to find the transaction for December 12 when the lessee it comes to an end. So at the end, please go back to the problem's initial fact that assume that Kimberly Clark take good care of the asset, and at the end of the lease period, that Seville concurs that the item true fair value is $10,000. And at the end of the list, make a note that Kimberly Clark entry to give Sheffield back position of the storage facility. So at the end of the year, at the end of the lessee terms, on December 12, 2029, we have lease liability on gain on lease. So it's the gain for the Sheffield transaction. We have for bought for $3,000. And the last example on the last exercises, we have to find the pension worksheet. So this is the information from the pension worksheet. We have the plan asset. We also have the project benefit obligation. We also have the pension asset liability, accumulated OC, PSC. And we also have, as the result, we have the service cost, we have the settlement rate, we have the actual return on plan assets, and something on. And the instruction for this, we have to find the pension worksheet by using the data above this data. And at the end, for the B, we have to prepare the journal entry for a pension expense for 2020. So as you can see here, I already make the pension worksheet. So on the balance January 1, we have to record it on the memory card. We have the pension asset minus PBO minus and the plan asset, and the plan asset is plus. And we have the service cost on the journal entries also on memory card. We have the interest cost, also same like the service cost, I guess, is we have the general journal entries also in memory card. And we also have the actual expected return is the same and minus adjustment. It's only work on the journal entries because it is what it is. And the PAC amortization is the same as the adjustment. Meanwhile, the loss from PBO is also recorded both on general journal entries and the memory card. And the benefit paid, it only got entries on the memory card. And the second last one, which is the accumulated OC December 31, we have on the general journal entries only. Meanwhile, the balance, for this balance, we have to find both. If you want to find the balance on January 31, you also have to divide the balance on general journal entries, also general balance on memory card. So on balance on the OCI on the general journal entries, we have 81, and on the OC gain and loss, we have $73,000. Meanwhile, on the memory card I think is quite minus, I guess, yeah. So we have the pension asset and liability minus by $186,000. Also minus on PBO is $735,000. Meanwhile, on the plan asset for the memory card, we have the plus by 49,000 dollars. And the last one, we also have to prepare the journal entries for the pension expense for 2020. So I guess the result on this number B as the pension expense and OCI gain or loss on cash and pension asset and liability. For the pension expense, we have 1000 1011 1011 100 100 one thou- 111 I'm sorry, $111,000. On the OCI, we have $73,000. On the cash on credit, we have $99,000. Meanwhile, on the pension asset strip liability, we have $66,000. I think that's all. I hope I got the maximal result from this. And I want to say also sorry if I have the mistakes. I think that's all from me. And thank you. And wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.